Rivers State Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Chief Tony Okocha, has accused Governor Siminalayi Fubara of influencing the recent High Court ruling that nullified all state congresses held under his watch. Okocha claimed that the judiciary in Rivers State had become a supermarket where the governor assigns cases to willing judges who are allegedly paid for favorable rulings. He expressed confidence in the legitimacy of the APC congresses, stating, "The National Secretariat of the APC sets the date for the Congress, and I paid 3 million naira to contest for the office of the chairman. I campaigned, won, and was not aware of any court judgment. I wasn't served." Okocha further emphasized the inauguration of his newly elected executive committee by the national APC leadership, led by Dr. Ibrahim Ganduje, making the Congress authentic, citing the supremacy of the party. Last week, the Rivers State High Court nullified the Congresses after a member from Chief Emeka Beke's camp filed a contempt of court. Justice Godswill Obomanu expressed surprise that the Congresses proceeded despite a court order against them. During a press briefing on Sunday, Okocha threatened to expel the litigants behind the court case, stating, "I can't sit here and allow anyone to embarrass the president." He reaffirmed the party's authority in deciding leadership, reminding that the matter is still under appeal. He said, "The State High Court is lower in rank than the appeal court." Okocha also criticized Governor Fubara, claiming he is not a registered member of any political party in the state. According to him, if elections were held today, Fubara couldn't contest. He's not a card-carrying member of any political party. That is the APC chairman, Rivers State, taking a swipe at the governor for the court, over the court's nullification of the congresses held in Rivers State. Lawrence, what do you make of this story?
I think when I saw this statement from Chief Tony Okocha, it baffles me so much that such man would be able to say things like that, when he already understand that there was a court injunction barring them from conducting the election. But they went ahead. I don't know how people, sometimes you do the same thing, expect different results. 2019 or so, APC was not able to have candidates at the ballot as a result of this court order, subsisting court order. And they deferred that and went into Congress and whatever they did. And then the court stopped them from entering the ballot. And the same thing is repeating now. And they wouldn't learn from their past. Tony is saying that Fubara is trying to assign matters to judge that could give him favorable judgment. I think, okay, what do you say about the thing the one that Federal High Court do give in Abuja? Are we going to say that the FCT minister is as well assigning matters to judge that will give him favorable judgment? I think I don't agree with Tony Okocha. You know, these are politicians, they speak from the both side of their mouth. When the thing favors them in the morning, the court is the hope of the common man. But when the thing did not favor them in the morning, you will hear the judge must have been biased. The judge is biased. The judge have eaten bribe. They have adduced to him or one thing or the other. So if this thing had favored Tony, would he have said this thing he said? He wouldn't have said it. So Tony should not be, at least he should be able to understand that people respect him as a statesman here in Rivers State. Contesting election with 3 million. Who and who contested the election with him? He spent 3 million in buying his ticket or buying his forms or whatever. Who also bought form with him? He was the only person handpicked to buy the form, whether what he's telling us is true or not. He bought a form of 3 million.
Are you a member of APC?
I'm not a member of APC. I don't even belong to PDP.
Did you attend the Congress?
I don't attend any of the
parties. So how then can you say with every surety that only Tony Okocha contested?
He contested. He said he contested for chairmanship now with 3 million.
You're saying who and who that he was handpicked. Were you there? That's
we didn't hear any other person. We didn't hear anybody that was there within that who contested.
Do you know of the people that contested for elective position at the ward level? Do you know them?
I don't bother contested with Tony.
Do you know? You know, in congresses you have the state congresses, local government congresses. You also have the ward where these elections are done at the ward level. You know, at the local government level, at the state level. That's what I'm asking. Now, at these different levels, can you say that you know the people that contested for different elective positions?
Well, people, if actually people did, or they are, I'm talking in the position of the chairmanship. If at all anybody did with him, we've not heard about the person. It is only Tony we are hearing who contested, who won the election, who was celebrated.
Have you been hearing of the secretary of the party?
I've not been hearing any other person apart from Tony.
Probably because he's the newsmaker right now in APC Rivers State,
well,
don't you
I think so? I will agree with you for that.
Does that negate the fact that, or does that take away the fact that probably there were also other contestants? Probably weaker contestants, but there were contestants.
Yes, anyway, there must be key contestants, but then I think he stands as the frontliner or the winner of the election. Let's say whoever contested with him, he have won. Now, since he have won the election and there is a subsisting court order barring them from conducting the election, they should have waited until the court had finished with the matter before going into the district. You see, I sometimes keep saying that the law is like the law is made for the commoner, for the poor people, and not for the rich. Because the poor people obey the law. But those who are rich, who are our leaders, they tend not to obey the law.
All right.
They tend to be lawbreakers because they feel the law cannot catch up with them.
All right.
Maybe they have one strong man somewhere that can take them out of, regulate them out of the court matter or something.
All right. I will still get back to you on some of the things you have raised because I want us to periscope a bit on the Rivers Judiciary being Fubara supermarket and also periscope on the activities of the judgments and others so far that have been coming out from Rivers State. Yes. Now, but before I get to that, let me hear from Judge. Judge, what do you make of this story?
Thank you very much. First thing first, I want to say that I don't want to completely align with Chief Tony Okocha on labeling the Rivers State Judiciary as Governor Fubara supermarket, reason being that I do not have any concrete evidence because I am one man who understands the importance of judiciary in democracy. I know the sanctity of that institution, the sacredness of that institution. So I do not want to join the bandwagon in completely condemning that very honorable institution. But however, that is not to say that we do not have bad eggs in the system. So if I found any evidence that the judges there are doing the bidding of the governor based on inducement, I will be one of the first to wave the banner against them. Now, this is an allegation, no doubt. But looking at the situation of things, you will agree with me that it is not completely far from the truth. I do not have any evidence, but I'm saying that given the antecedents.
What are the antecedents?
No, you some kind of okay. Look at what Tony said there, that the matter is before the appeal court, and the appeal court is quite higher than the lower court. What that means is that the lower court is not even supposed to entertain the matter in the first place. So it appears that someone somewhere is trying to do the bidding of someone. Now, what I'm trying to say is that it is quite unfortunate that judiciary over time have allowed itself to be ridiculed to the extent that whenever they give judgment, people no longer believe the judgment. They believe that, one or two things may have transpired behind the scene, which to an extent, there is an atom of truth in that. There's an atom of truth because you will see that some of this case, even before it is delivered, you notice the outcome. And I believe this is one of the reasons, or this could be one of the reasons why some of the matters that was to be brought before the Rivers State Judiciary was taken to, Federal High Court. That later the appeal court had to rule that the Federal High Court never had jurisdiction over the matter. Maybe not because that the litigants we are not aware that the matter was supposed to be tried first at the lower court. But because of this same, allegation that it has become Governor Fubara's supermarket, where any matter that goes there against him, you can never see the light of the day. That could be the reason why some of those matters we are taking elsewhere, where he does not have, power over the judges. It's really an unfortunate situation for the nation's judiciary, which is the arbiter, which is supposed to be the one to, correct some of these ills militating against, development of the Nigerian democracy. But they are the one aiding it, simply because some of them, wants to measure up or wants to meet up or whatever. They are easily, they kowtow to, the whims and caprices of the powers that be. I do not want to mention them. You understand? So it is neither here nor here, because for me it's an allegation. So if he has an evidence to prove that the national judiciary has actually become Fubara supermarket, where he easily go to procure judgment.
Isn't the Federal High Court in Abuja, haven't there be accusations and counter-accusations that they are also, if I may borrow Tony Okocha's statement, it's in the hands of the FCT minister?
That is exactly the point.
Allegations have been there.
That is exactly the point I'm trying to make, that the judiciary have allowed itself to be ridiculed. We have seen it. Because of the good things that the FCT minister is doing, building houses for the judges and some of those logistics here and there, people now feel that any case that he's interested in cannot go against him. But yet,
the FCT minister built houses for judges in
Rivers
State when he was governor.
Yes,
and these
I
judges are still judges in Rivers State High Court.
Who benefited from that same, legacy that he gave to them, and they are giving judgment against. The truth is, for me, I see the judiciary as people who ordinarily, irrespective of whose oath should be God, should do the right thing. Because the life and death is in their hands. Once you remove God, it is them on matters like this, to determine what is right and what is wrong, but in line with the provisions of the law, the Constitution. Right. So when any of them goes, astray by being induced to do something that is not in accordance with the law, it pains me so much. It pains me. Ordinarily, we should just resort to self-help. Everybody, go to the state of nature, where if you have power, you defeat the next person. We decided to surrender everything to the state, and they are part of the state to determine some of these things. Unfortunately, some of them takes bribe to give some kind of judgment. It's really unfair. It's so hurtful. It's hurtful. So to conclude on this particular matter, what Tony Okocha has said, maybe he might have an evidence to show. If he has that, let him show it. And like I said, I will be one of the first persons behind him to castigate the particular judge that did that. I do not want to stay here on the national television, to begin to spew, to defame someone when I do not have, any shred of evidence. So that's my position on it.
Now, still talking about that. Now, that's on one hand, Okocha is reacting to the fact that a Rivers State High Court nullified the APC Congress. And that was done on the basis of content. Like, there was a restraining order, and the APC went ahead to conduct that Congress. I recall that when that Congress was held, I had one of the APC State Executive Committee members on my show, and his name was in the news. I asked him, he was seated by my side. I said, you were in that Congress. And the same over time, you've been condemning the governor, and you've been very vocal in opposition, saying that the governor has refused to obey court orders, that the governor has refused to obey court judgment. So how come that have been so vocal about telling the governor to obey court judgment, you're now the one disobeying the same? So it appears that politicians, when it suits them, they go with it. When it doesn't suit them, they cry foul. Because in this instance, whether the court has jurisdiction, his argument was that the court does not have jurisdiction to entertain that matter. Now, Chief Tony Okocha is speaking, and he's saying that the Rivers State High Court is lower than the appeal court. But the question is, the matter that has been appealed, is it the same prayer? It could be related to the APC Congress, but the prayers are different. You see that? Yeah. The prayers are different. The first one that was appealed was on the ground of the Emeka Beke faction. The second one, the second restraining order came from three members that said they paid for form and the forms were not given to them. There were different prayers. that I'm aware of. Now, when you look at it critically, Chief Tony Okocha is saying that, I mean, this court does not have the jurisdiction. Is it does he have the power to arrogate powers to himself to go ahead with the congresses, or should he have gone to a higher court to vacate that particular order?
Looking at what happened in 2019 and afterwards, whether the court has jurisdiction or not, the moment an order of the court has come, you are supposed to obey that court order. Probably look for a higher court to vacate such an court. The matter will be taken to higher court, for further adjudication. So if the men at the higher court feels that the APC, led by Tony Okocha in the state, has a case, of course they will give their judgment. I've always believed that judiciary, irrespective of the rotten and bad, some of the bad eggs that are the ones spoiling, there are still upright men, upright judges that will do the right thing. So let's be hopeful.
All right, very well. I told you, Lawrence, that I was going to get back to you with respect to some of the things you have said. And when Judge was speaking, Judge also did mention some of the concerns you raised, and he talked about the whether judiciary in this instance has been complicit or not. I mean, with respect to the toga that Tony Okocha has given Rivers State Judiciary, calling them supermarkets where the governor can shop from at will. Now, let's look at some of the actions of the Rivers State Judiciary High Court, for example. You remember the case of Justice Wale that gave a parte order and vacating the seats of the 27 lawmakers, which was later appealed and challenged in appeal court. And appeal court ruled that the state high court in the first place didn't even have the jurisdiction to entertain that matter. And then you also recall a situation where 4 members had to also go to a Rivers State High Court, and a Rivers State High Court said, you are the speaker. But that actually is an activity of the House. It's an activity that is sacred to the House. And now the court is saying, you are the speaker. And this orders of court so far has laid the foundation to the very crisis and controversies we are experiencing in Rivers State political ecosystem. Would you, to a large extent, say that so far, the Rivers State judiciary in this instance are far taken away from the political crisis we are experiencing?
Anyway, let me agree with my brother to an extent.
Okay.
The problem we are having now in judiciary is that sometimes they have so brought themselves so low that when judgment is going for B, A will say they must have done something. If go for A, B will say they must have done something, because it's just like maybe we have a lady somewhere, and anybody that goes in first sleeps with her. If I see a man coming out, I feel he must have done that thing. So they know that sometimes they have their ways, a way of trying to compromise the judiciary. But if judiciary stands to be what they used to be, or what we know them to be, if they give judgment, their judgment will stand. Nobody will have begin to question if actually they did well or not. Now, like the state of the Rivers State Judiciary today, we know that the governor, the judiciary, and the executive are separate arms of government. But in judiciary of Rivers State, I think a songwriter will say that the loser lose it all, while the winner grabs it all. And sometimes when you are a governor, you would want to do something that will favor you from the judiciary. Like what my brother Chinda said, the judiciary today, some of them are trying to protect their office. Maybe let's say that of the chief judge who was appointed by a governor, and then when a governor leaves and then B governor comes, he will want to remove him to bring the person that he wants to be there, as to agree with whatever thing that comes from him. So these are things we see that is happening in judiciary. You remember the time of Rotimi Amechi? When at the exit of Amechi, one justice then, I think, let me mention his name, let me not mention his name, of a customary court of appeal, was trying to become the chief judge of the state, and it was his right to become. But the then governor said no. Instead, placed him on compulsory leave. And he left. And he brought in who he wants. So these are things we are like dictating in judiciary. Judiciary sometimes they have derailed from their original calling. And they're telling us A is A, B is B, not minding who that may favor or not. Now, like the house issue, I know too well that with a little knowledge of law, we come to understand that the new electoral act that was signed by the former president says that by the time you defect from a political party that sponsored you to the office, then you automatically loses the seat.
Automatically?
Yes.
Is it so it's the constitution is self-implementing? Like it automatically implements itself?
Yeah, automatically, I mean is that by the time you
defect,
when there is no crisis from the national body of the party that sponsored you to the office you were or you occupied, then you lose the seat. But then maybe that could also is dependent on the judiciary to decide whether or not.
If it is pending on the judiciary to decide, then it's safe to say that that constitution is not self-executing.
If you defect, there is no need you remain in that seat.
Hold on. Is it self-executed?
It's not. It's constitutional issue.
So which means that pending when a court gives judgment with regards to that.
Giving order is not. The court say they are not Father Christmas. Even though somebody steals with gun, and then you don't bring it to them, they won't just go there to get the person.
Okay, let me give you an instance, a very recent example that is playing out in the National Assembly. Ibweri Suenu of Edo State defected to the APC.
Yes.
She defected from PDP to the APC. And PDP right now, they've taken her to court. They are asking the court to declare her seat vacant. Do you understand? Now, what that means to a large extent is it is not it is not self-executory. And probably they are going to court because probably they have seen that the National Assembly may not declare her seats vacant. So they decided to take the matter to court, asking the court to declare her seats vacant.
This, like the case you cited, the Speaker of the House of Representatives ought to have, because the Constitution empowered him to declare that seat vacant.